Antonio Gramsci was an Italian Marxist philosopher. He is well known for his theory of cultural hegemony. Cultural hegemony explains how the ruling class managed to dominate and rule over other classes. Gramsci argues on the role of ideology by which the dominant class produces consent and maintains its rule and domination in society. Gramsci relies on and takes Marx's vision of the state into a base and a superstructure a step further when he divides the superstructure into what he calls political society and civil society. Whereas the political society stands for such coercive institutions as the government, armed forces, police, the legal system, and the like. Civil society refers to those institutions that are not coercive, including all institutions used in the construction of public opinion. Gramsci believes that everything which influences or is able to influence public opinion directly or indirectly belongs to it. Libraries, schools, associations, clubs of various kinds, and architecture and the layout and names of roads. In Gramsci's opinion, the supremacy of a social group manifests itself in two different ways. First, domination or coercion. Second, intellectual and moral leadership, what he calls hegemony. Whereas domination is achieved by the coercive machinery of the state, hegemony is attained through myriad ways in which the institution of civil society operate to shape, directly or indirectly, the cognitive and affective structures whereby men perceive and evaluate social reality. Domination is used only when hegemony fails. Gramsci distances himself from Marxism on the way the ruling class dominates and rules, whereas the Marxists focus on coercive practices of ruling class and its tendency to exploit proletariat or working classes by means of force. Gramsci emphasizes the role of ideology. In his opinion, before the ruling class resorts to direct force and coercion, it seeks to make its rule acceptable through ideology by all classes. This is what Gramsci calls hegemony. Gramsci says that a social class becomes hegemonic not only by controlling the means of production and coercing other classes, like Marxists believe, rather by establishing their consent. He claims that before the ruling class resorts to force and coercion, it seeks to indoctrinate the proletariat with those ideas that make them consent to their subordinate position. Gramsci holds the view that hegemony is always established on the consent of the people is what makes the rule of the dominant class secure. That is why the ruling class relies more on ideological means than direct force and oppressive power. Through ideology, dominated groups are brainwashed and manipulated into accepting the economic, political, and social leadership of the dominant class. Hegemony in this sense can be characterized as the organizing principle that is diffused by process of socialization into every area of daily life, to the extent that this prevailing consciousness is internalized by the population. It becomes part of what is generally called common sense, so that the philosophy, culture, and morality of the ruling elite comes to appear as the natural order of things.